So, bayonets. They're not guns, of course, but many times collectors will prioritize including bayonets in their collections, especially if you're one of those people that needs to have a bayonet go with each of your firearms. It fulfills that sense of completeness when you buy a gun. You need the sling, the bayonet, the ammo pouch, and maybe a helmet to go along with it. Who wants a K98K without a 15-inch blade? As a collector, I'd like to be able to have a bayonet for each of my firearms. Not only are bayonets in and of themselves cool historical pieces, but if you handle your firearms, it's nice to be able to feel how they operate with a bayonet included. There's so many different styles and looks, and each one really does have a unique history behind them. So over the last 3 years or so, I've built a wish list of what bayonets I needed for my arms and began collecting them. So I'll quickly go over each of them and what I paid for each. Some of these prices are maybe a little inaccurate since I'm going back to 2018 in some cases, but assuming steady inflation in the marketplace, throw a 4 to 5% increase on each of them if you want to compare it to, let's say, the 2021 marketplace. This is, of course, just my experience and to put data points out there to the public and for others to see, as I've done with other videos like this. Your experience can be totally different, and there are many factors that affect prices, like whether it has a scabbard, the frog, or if either of the components are original or reproduction. Obviously, wear is a factor, and then, of course, rarity. It's pretty common for the price of a bayonet to go up as the associated rifle with it also becomes more scarce or goes up in demand. Anything American, German, or British seems to be going up pretty quickly. In some cases, the inverse is true. If you buy a Mosin Nagant, you are almost guaranteed a complimentary bayonet, or even sometimes with the glut of Carcanos right now, you'll find deals when you get a bayonet with the purchase of one rifle. About 5 years ago, when K31s were really popular, all kinds of deals included a free bayonet with them, and obviously sometimes the bayonets are more expensive than the rifles themselves. Sometimes it's about walking into the right place at the right time. Now, I realize there are collectors out there who don't collect firearms at all and only collect bayonets, either because they don't have a place to shoot or simply are more into cutlery. This is still applicable to you since I'm really just talking about bayonets as an accessory to firearms, but let's go ahead and take a look at our first bayonet. So the first bayonet, and the oldest one I actually own, is a pattern 1876 socket-style bayonet from International Military Antiques for the British Martini Henrys. This was made at the Royal Small Arms Factory. It has a serial number of 164, and I paid $75 for this back in 2018. And of course, this is from the Nepalese cache. You can see some of the Sanskrit writings right here. Again, there's some pitting on it, but not bad for a, almost 150-year-old piece of weaponry. All right, the next thing we have is a pattern 1907 sword bayonet made for the British SMLE No. 1 Mark III, manufactured by the Wilkinson Sword Company in the original scabbard. So you can see it's very nice. Pattern 1907, Wilkinson Sword Company, has the British ensign on it. This is 1942 dated, and you can see that right there. It's a very nice example of a World War II era bayonet. There's a few things missing on it. I paid $200 for this bayonet. I believe back in 2017. This was a local store find, and these are getting a bit pricey these days, just like the guns themselves. The SMLEs are becoming very expensive. A couple years ago, they were only $500. Now, the guns themselves are probably going towards $700 to $800. So they've certainly jumped up in price since the World War I centennial. The next bayonet we have is the M1 bayonet for the M1 Garand service rifle, made by the American Fork and Hoe Company in 1943. And I paid $25 for this back in 2018, which is not bad. I found this at a kind of just a local militaria store. This was originally a model 1905 16-inch bayonet, but in 1943 they decided I think it was the Cavalry Board, decided to cut them all down to 10 inches, as many of the longer original bayonets were modified this way in World War II. When a 10-inch bayonet became the standard regulation length. And also note the plastic grips here. Originally during World War I, the Model 1907 had wooden grips, but yeah, not a bad find. The next thing we have here is the Seitengewehr Model 1884/98 Model 3 for the German K98K. This particular one was made in 1944. Go ahead and take it out of the scabbard. You can see the date under here with the Bakelite grips. I paid $120 for this in 2021. Of course, it comes in the original scabbard and frog, which is kind of nice. It's in pretty good condition. And again, these, again, with the German, British, and American militaria, they're getting just a little bit more expensive. So this little guy here is a spike bayonet for the number 4 Mark I Lee Enfields. This is an example of something that came free with the purchase of a rifle. I think these retail for $15 to $20 if you want to buy it separately. This is a super simple machining design compared to the pattern 1907 bayonet for the number 1 Mark IIIs. So what I have here are 2 examples of the Model 1886 bayonet, famously known as the Rosalie by French troops. It was created to fit the 1886 Lebel rifle, but it interchangeably fit onto the later French Berthier rifles, just as a logistics convenience. Both rifles overlapped in use during both World Wars, and both were acquired this year in 2021. The first one we have here is the first model, which you can tell by the original quillion. And the handle was made of nickel. This is one where I got it included with the purchase of a Berthier rifle, so I can't put an itemized value on this, but they do retail for about $300 in this condition with the scabbard included. This second one here is actually a Model 1886/16, which was designated this way in 1916, where they made the handle out of brass and, of course, remove the quillion in order to save material for other war production needs during the First World War. I paid $100 for this on eBay. It did not come with the scabbard, however. But both good examples of different 1886 Lebel bayonets. And then there are other examples out there that you can find that are actually cut down, because in the 1930s they cut them down even further. But these are both in the original lengths. Now here are 2 examples of the Italian Model 1891 bayonet, which fit any of the Italian Carcano long rifles, a few of the Moschetto models, and then I don't think it fits any of the 38s. This first one here is a Tourney Arsenal made manufacturer one that I paid $100 for in 2020. It doesn't come with the scabbard, but it's a nice fit. This one here is a 1942 manufactured one. It's right here. Manufactured by C. Nuti, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, with the original scabbard. This one actually came with the purchase of an 1891 Carcano long rifle. So again, I can't tell you the value, but I believe the market price for these with the scabbard is about $200. Just as an honorable mention, this is an 1891/30 socket bayonet for the Soviet Mosin Nagant. $10 max if you can't find it in a junk bin at your local antique shop, or maybe $30 at a Cabela's. These really just come free with the guns. They're not particularly rare or hard to find whatsoever. This right here is a Modelo 1912 bayonet for the Chilean Model 1912 rifles. This one was made by Steyr in Austria, as you can see right here. Made in Austria between 1912 and 1913. I paid $45 for this bayonet, which is in really good condition, from Liberty Tree Collectors in 2020. But they are, like I said, they saw limited use. They took really good care of these, and there isn't much of a scarcity here. But yeah, just a really nice, clean bayonet. This is the Type 30 sword bayonet made for the Arisaka Type 99 from the Kokura Arsenal in Tokyo, Japan. I paid $115 for this. I don't remember exactly. It might have been in 2016 at a gun show. I bet the prices for these have jumped a lot since the Arisakas are becoming a little bit more valuable. They're still kind of surplus, but I think there were a couple, when I went to the gun show back then, there was a couple different Arisaka Type 30 bayonets I saw, and this was the least expensive one I could find. There were others for 125, 130. I think I saw one going for 150, but I saw this on a table, and a guy was willing to part with it for 150 in cash. But yeah, really nice condition, and these are really, really cool bayonets. This is a model 1918 double-edged bayonet. This is a really awesome bayonet. This is for the K11, the M11, and the K31 Swiss rifles. And I got this for $55 back in 2017. These are all in super, super good condition, just because of how well the Swiss took care of their things and the craftsmanship that was put into them. Again, like I said, it's double-edged, which is really nice. Super sharp to this day and has no visible marks, really, visible use. Clean, and it's probably one of the nicest bayonets that I currently own at the moment. This bayonet right here is a model 1935 Turkish bayonet that fits the M38 Turkish Mauser and is from ASFA, Ascari Fabrica military factory in Turkey, I think in Ankara, but I actually don't know off the top of my head. It also fits the Model 1893 and the 1903 Mausers, which were also in use by the Turkish military at this time. So yeah, it fits 3 different models, and I paid $58 for this from Liberty Tree Collectors in 2020. I mean, it's the dullest thing ever, but again, the Turkish did not have a reputation for taking super good care of their items. These things saw a ton of use, and so again, this is just standard military surplus with the bayonet. I'm sorry, with the scabbard. This behemoth here is a model 1898-05 sword bayonet for the World War I German Gewehr 98. This is made by Simon and Schul, Simpson and Company of Schul, Germany. On the back of the blade is a 1916 date, as you can kind of see there. And this was free with a rifle, but I see them online for between $225 to $300 in various conditions. This comes with the original scabbard and a reproduction frog. This was actually the most common type of bayonet used by the Imperial German forces in World War I, and were called butcher blades for obvious reasons. I mean, just kind of look at this thing. It really is a beast of a bayonet, and certainly the longest one I own, minus possibly the Martini Henry socket bayonet. And they also had sawback variants, which were mainly used for cutting vegetation, which you'll probably see in movies and video games, but they kind of look pretty nasty and intimidating. But yeah, this was the German butcher bayonet from World War I. All right, finally, my only reproduction bayonet is the Model 1938 folding bayonet for use with the Italian Model 38 Carcano rifle. And it was made by Atlanta Cutlery, which makes a lot of reproduction bayonets and are of pretty decent quality. It fits well to my 38 and costs about $100 after shipping. The scabbard is a little loose, but it fits well. And again, the reason I didn't get an actual version of these is because they are pretty expensive. I think if you want an original one, I think they retail for about $300, which in a lot of cases is about the same price as the rifle. So if you're just using this as kind of just a display piece, these reproductions are totally fine and actually fit nice and snug. So this is, again, an M38 bayonet from Atlanta Cutlery. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little example of what I paid for bayonets over the years, and good luck on your search. Let me know if you've picked up something interesting recently, gotten any good deals, and we'll see you later.